all aboard for your chance to win $1,000 every week until December 28th. That's right, $1,000 cash just in time for the holidays. To hop on board, just head to churchillmortgage.com and punch your ticket to the Churchill Express giveaway. Visit churchillmortgage.com for your chance to win big.
This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Come ring in the new year in Denver. Celebrate with parties, champagne toasts, live music, and dazzling fireworks. Catch the firework displays from the 16th Street Mall at both 9 p.m. and midnight. And come check out the incredible Mile High Tree, presented by Xfinity, a free one-of-a-kind lights experience. Enjoy sparkling new adventures for a spectacular new year, only in the Mile High City. Plan your celebration and find great hotel packages at milehighholidays.com/NYE.
Steering wheel. Left the steering wheel, yeah. Steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
You like my bass? You like it?
How the f*** is that possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? From the radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger Straight.
I'm so annoyed.
Hey everybody, Paul Chelsea again for the Parc Fermé, and as you know, over the past year and a half, I've been involved with the Heart of Racing team, and we just started a new thing this year, doing some interviews with some of the members of the team. So today we have none other than the Italian stallion, Roman DeAngelis. Welcome, Roman.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Yeah. So Roman's been, you've been a part of the team since it began, very beginning of last year.
Yep.
Quite a debut, quite a long season, quite a crazy season.
Yeah.
We're at Sebring right now, but we're not really going to get into that. We're going to kind of talk about who is Roman DeAngelis. Or we're going to change this into the RV tour or something like that, because last time we did with Darren was the RV as well. But maybe we'll do a whole new thing. We'll just tour your RV and
Go through all my stuff.
Yeah, go through all your stuff. So let's just talk. You're the young gun in the team. Obviously, we had Darren, who's a pretty old guy by now, right? Yeah. So let's talk about being a young driver in a series like this. But I really want to get into, not many people know maybe your past and how it all began. How did it all begin? Where did you find your passion for motorsport?
So my middle name's Senna. So my dad,
a
couple people have.
Yeah.
My dad obviously is like a massive race fan.
Yeah.
He wanted to name me Ayrton. My mom obviously cut that one. But he got away with the Senna in the middle name, so that's cool. Obviously that shows you that my family had a pretty good past with motorsports. My dad raced a little bit in IMSA, started with some Skip Barber stuff. I think for his 30th birthday, he did a Skip Barber racing school. I did some karting when he was younger, like in the older teens.
Yeah, back when they had wooden wheels and stuff.
yeah, push carts. But yeah, so obviously my family just had a passion for motorsports always, and then I was kind of just born into it. I always remember growing up watching F1. I remember my early years of karting watching, I think Vettel was kind of the guy at the time, so I remember looking up to him quite a bit and just always, my middle name's Senna, so obviously I was just a massive Senna fan. My first helmet was a Senna replica. But yeah, I just kind of bored into it with that and just had a passion for it always, just watching Le Mans and IMSA with my dad as well. So
yeah. So how do you think family support, obviously your dad, we've met your dad as a super guy. How do you think the family support has helped you get where you are? We know in racing it's changed. If you listen to the interview with Darren, obviously he got into it a different way, doing it all on his own, sleeping on the floor of Jordan. Yeah. But it's just not possible anymore. It really isn't.
No.
So how does the support of your family help you get where you are?
Yeah, like I said, my dad has a massive passion for it. So, I was telling you some stories earlier about being a kid here at Sebring and other tracks.
Had nothing to do with racing, had more to do with becoming a man.
No, just the stuff you see here as a kid. When you're like 9 or 10 and you're driving around on a golf cart, everybody who knows Sebring knows what's going on in the infield. So definitely some crazy parties and stuff like that I saw at a very young age. But no, I always had my dad behind me, and then my mom obviously as well. all my family, all my friends, everybody's a massive fan of what we're doing. They love racing. I think my dad definitely the biggest supporter with it. Obviously racing now is financially pretty crazy, so supporting me in karting, and then my first year in Formula Ford and a bit through Porsche Cup. I got lucky with some sponsors there, and then obviously now very fortunate with the Heart of Racing deal, but that's the end of what was a very long process of getting to where we are now. So definitely had a lot of support from them. Our rule was always, I remember in grade school and like high school, was if I don't have an 80 average, I wasn't able to race. So that was kind of the trend until I got farther into high school, and it became a bit.
God, my parents didn't have that.
I'd
never have raced anything.
That's not the case now in university, but
right.
Or I wouldn't be racing at all. But so definitely like had some initiative. They also wanted me to, I still worked for my dad. I worked at a pizza place before. I worked washing semi trucks. Like I did all that stuff like a normal teenager does, but still keep me grounded. But my dad always, if I needed to do something in racing, he was always behind me and wanted me to do stuff and wanted me to succeed as well. Yeah. It's my mom and siblings and stuff like that. So it was definitely had some good push and support from my family and stuff.
So is that your passion for racing? You were introduced to racing by your dad, but you still need to have that passion inside you, right?
Yeah.
So when you first jumped in, I guess from you won your first race you were ever in at 9 years old, right? I mean, was it something you were like super excited about, or did the success kind of fuel you wanting to do more?
I think a lot of my passion for like motorsports came with my passion for vehicles in general. So my dad's has a construction company, so like, I mean, there's a bunch of pictures I can try to find one day and show you, but as a kid, like in excavators and dozers and stuff like that.
Right. Big Tonka toys.
Yeah, basically. But like, I mean, I remember being like 6 or 7 and using them. Like I'd go operate them on the weekend and stuff. Like my dad would teach me. Yeah. So definitely always loved like equipment. My grandpa had a farm, so just always grew up around that kind of stuff. And then I remember having like an electric Ferrari F1 car thing. Like a little, all the kids have them. So I remember having that, and then I remember getting a go-kart and driving it, like just really weird small memories as a kid, like driving it up and down the driveway. I was probably 6 or 7. And then my dad and my family was super busy all the time, so I'd probably go to the track maybe from when I was 6 to when I started at 9, maybe like 3 times a year we'd go. And I'd drive, and I really loved it, like enjoyed it. Always watched racing, so I just really wanted to race. And I remember my dad one day coming up to me and just saying like, hey, do you want to race? I have a friend who has a go-kart, and he asked if you want to come try and do it like a full race weekend. And obviously I did that, and it was like over. Then it's all a flash, and now we're here. So just definitely, everybody says they caught the bug. I definitely caught the bug. And just I mean, now it's been my life. So it's been half my life I've been racing now. So at 20 now, so it's pretty crazy.
So you're obviously a pretty tall guy.
Yes. Right,
and you did karting. Probably not the best thing to be when you're
good in the rain.
Good in the rain, tough, and you did some Formula car stuff, and you were passionate about Formula One.
Yeah.
But then it was a decision to move to sports cars because of your size. It was pretty much an end part that you were never going to make it.
Honestly, no. I was never. I'm not going to say it's unrealistic for kids to say that they want to go to Formula One and go to. I think IndyCar is a bit more plausible than Formula One is, but I mean, you look at the people who are in F1 now. To get to F1, you had to have had X amount of money, or just a lot of luck, and everything went to plan, and a lot of talent. Yeah. Like very special people make it. Nowadays, it's very difficult to make it without funding from somewhere or something.
For a very long time, right? Yeah.
Honestly, and I think at a young age I realized that, but I also always loved endurance racing. So like, if it was a 24 Hours Le Mans, or it was Monaco F1 weekend, I'd watch 24 Hours Le Mans. That's just always how it was. Like I remember growing up watching IMSA and like Lally, Davis, Brian Sellers, like all those guys I just always looked up to as a kid.
Old Manny and James, I don't know where happened to that guy, huh?
Who knows, right? But that was always my passion. Yeah. So I did Formula Ford, and then I did a one test in USF 2000, and I didn't fit for the first part.
Right.
But I also just was like, this isn't going to go anywhere. It's just not going to go anywhere. Like, USF 2000, they said how much it was, and I was like, There's no way that that's possible. So I was going to do IMSA lights at the time because my dad had a car because he raced IMSA lights. So that would and it was pretty affordable, and I could get a couple sponsors and run it, and I could, I had a car as well, so it was, it was easy to be able to do it. And then like I said, my dad raced, so he had a 997 Cup car, and I went to a FARA 500 event in Miami. Okay. And my dad, for some reason, was like, "Oh, I'm not going to race. You're going to race." This is after my first year in Formula Ford, so I was, 15. And the driver I was with was Marco Cerrone, who was a Mark Motors driver at the time in Porsche Cup. Yeah. And so me and him were teammates, and we finished second. And by the end, I was like right on pace with him. So he, being the guy he is, he's just an awesome person, and honestly, like, I owe everything, like Ian. Yeah. They're kind of in the same boat where, like, I owe my career to them, basically. He called the owner of Mark Motors the following week and said, like, "Hey, I think you need to give this kid a chance." So I remember on my 16th birthday getting a call from Mark Motors and saying that I was going to do the Porsche Cup North America. Yeah. So that was that's kind of how it all escalated from then. So.
And then you ended up being champion in.
I won the Canadian, it's like rookie class kind of. I won that championship. And then I think I was third in the States, but I missed a bunch of races because the sponsorship was more geared towards the Canadian stuff. Yeah. And then from then I did 2 more years with them. So
2 more years with them, and you won both championships, right?
Yeah, I won the Platinum Championship in the U.S. and Canada in 2019, and I was second in U.S. and Canada the year before. So
and then at that point, you're like, where do you go from here, right? And then was that when I ended up meeting you?
No, I met you. So I did the year with Mark Motors in like the rookie class, and then I did the year where I finished second in both championships, and then we did the 24 hours.
Yeah, when you debuted in
GTD
in IMSA, well, that was quite a debut.
That was That was also a big eye opener. Yeah, that was my first really. I mean, not that I wasn't getting some help in the Porsche Cup stuff, but this was like the first big.
You've got to call up, and it's just through talent that you got called
lucky.
Up, right?
Yeah,
Team
I got
Canada.
really lucky. I got really lucky, honestly. Yeah. Because now to get that opportunity, it's just like it's not there anymore. It's just maybe 5 seats a year in North America. You get that chance, but it's like
well, it doesn't hurt to be good.
Well,
to get those opportunities, right? And they do come up few and far between, but if you're there and you're ready, then
a lot of luck though.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds of Audi Canada having a funded car and wanting a young Canadian driver in it, like the year that I was in contention, is pretty slim. Yeah. So that was definitely a cool phone call to get. I remember being at work. I was washing semi trucks for a company my dad's friend owns. Yeah. And I got a phone call and it was freezing out. I remember like it just being brutally cold, and they called me and they're like, "Hey, like we want to talk about this and that," and did some negotiations, and then they called me in the parking lot of my high school. I was driving to school the one day and said, "Okay, you're gonna do it," and that was a pretty.
And what time? Obviously, the race is at the end of January. When did you know you were coming?
Oh, it had to have been end of November. Okay. Early December.
So like just about 4 weeks before the Raw.
No more than 2 months before. Yeah. I got the call, and then I was like, okay, it didn't click for a while, but then everything kind of gets rolling. You start training.
Who is this young Canadian kid that's jumping in here?
Who's this idiot? This
ginger. But you did a great job. And that's where you met Ian, and then everything turns up. But obviously, debuting at Daytona 24 Hour in the Audi with the WRT team, which was a great team. Yeah. We nearly could have won it.
Honestly, yeah. We were. I remember, I think when me and Ian handed the car over, we were in I think from 7th to 5th or something. So in a pretty good spot. Yeah. Then we handed it over to the big dogs. Yeah. And I don't know. I fell asleep and woke up because somebody woke me up. And I had like an interview with they're at the Audi, they have that big building where they do all that stuff. Yeah. And they're like, oh, how do you think it's going? I'm like, oh, and I look over my shoulder and there's a TV screen. I didn't know where we were. I was so out of it. Yeah. And I look over and it's like it was our car was on the screen. We were it was like GTD class leader. I was like, holy shit, okay. Yeah. And then with an hour to go, we led. So
yeah. So how? I mean, obviously, I think did a great job. There was a lot to learn, right?
Yeah.
I think I remember the first practice you
I
went
had a
off in
little-
the bus stop and
Yeah,
whatever.
had a
and
good
was like,
spin, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But I
Took a
mean,
mirror off.
you had two factory drivers. You had Ian James as your drivers.
Mm-hmm.
What's it like? And now we've got, we've been with Darren Turner.
Yeah.
We've got Ross coming in here. What's it like mixing with drivers with a lot of experience, maturity? Me personally think you've done an incredible
Thank
job in getting in the car, not making mistakes, and driving bloody fast. But it's got to be intimidating being with those guys, but it's also a place to learn, right? So what's your approach been when you come into all that experience when knowing you've barely turned a lap in the class?
I think this year it's been a bit of a light switch for me. I'll talk about that, but I mean, I think going into the weekend and with Audi when we did Daytona, I was honestly like just scared. Like, I don't really know how else to say it. I was just honestly just super scared because I knew I was quick in a cup car. I did some LMP3 stuff and I did pretty well. But like, I never drove a car with ABS ever. I never drove a car with TC. So that was what I was most worried about. I drove Daytona, but I never did like an endurance race like that.
Right.
It was just weird. Like, I didn't want to make a mistake, which I did make a mistake. And I spun and I took the mirror off and scratched the bodywork a bit, but and then that set me back a lot as well. But like the practices and all that stuff leading up to it, I was pretty down on myself because I didn't have the pace, and I was, not that I didn't have the pace, but I was a second off. And at the time, like looking back on it, that's honestly not that bad.
Right.
It was some great drivers. I was getting used to it, and then in the race it kind of clicked because you kind of forget about everything. It's like, you don't realize that you're in this GTD Audi and this is where you are and these are your teammates. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You're by yourself. It's like, I remember being nighttime and everything kind of clicked, and I started to get quicker and quicker, and I remember getting out of the car and just everybody was super happy, and that was a
I
good.
think it was your third stint. I think.
Yeah, my last one, it kind of clicked.
Right, it seemed pretty obvious.
And then I remember getting out and getting a couple good looks. So that was kind of where I felt like I got a bit better.
Right. So you met Ian, then you were racing Porsches that whole year.
Yeah.
And then the Heart of Racing program comes around, and
pretty crazy too.
Seems like you were first on Ian's list to call.
Yeah.
That's the big call to get in the race was for sure, with the Audi team, but then getting a call for a full season with the new team, Aston Martin, Heart of Racing, with a lot of history.
Yeah. It was weird too because I knew Ian, like going into Daytona. Obviously, looked everyone up. I was like, okay, and I saw Ian, and I was like, and this guy's got a lot of experience. And I got on really well with Ian, with Audi, like helped me out a lot because, I mean, you're the young guy. Like, a lot of people, they think, oh, this kid's just gonna go bin it, and he's gonna try to show off, like whatever, big ego. Like, I just wanted to learn, and I was honestly scared. I remember Ian being super like warm and welcoming. Not anymore. Now he just picks on me.
Yeah, he just rags on you all day long.
Yeah,
it makes you stronger though. That's what he keeps telling you. I'm not sure if that's working, but
a little bit.
makes you cry a little bit.
A lot.
Then he hugs it out. Yeah,
especially after when I leave the track, go home, card my mom.
Learn the hard way, the Ian James way. Yeah.
But no, he was super nice, like warming and helpful, and we were kind of on the similar strategies. The two of us were driving together a lot, and left the weekend. I didn't think anything of it. I honestly didn't know about the Heart of Racing stuff, that he was the team leader basically for all that, I'd say. I didn't really know his connection to everything with the Seattle Children's and the Heart of Racing and everybody involved, but I knew he raced with Alex and Mario and did that deal, so I didn't know, maybe just he's quick, so obviously he was just driving.
Right.
And I get the odd call, and we'd see each other at the track, and he'd talk to my dad. But I never understood really. I just was like, oh, I'm seeing, my friend Ian, basically, right?
Right.
I had no idea about what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then he called me the first time. He's like, hey, like I'm putting and I got a couple of these calls where I was like, they'd say, oh, this is what's gonna happen, and we'd love you to drive. And then they send you a piece of paper, and it's like $500 million, you know what I mean, right? It was like, it's all this lead up, right?
Yeah.
And Ian's like, well, I'm going to do this program with the Heart of Racing and Aston Martin, and do you have anything next year? And I was like, no, I've got nothing. And and I just came off the 2 championships in the Porsche stuff, so I was like, come on, like I gotta
keep
something's
momentum,
gotta happen,
right?
like
Yeah.
something's gotta happen. And then he called me. I remember it was December 16th, I think, when he called me, or December.
Wow.
I don't know. It was something. It was pretty late because I remember like doing exams right before Christmas break.
Yeah.
So it was like very recent. And he called me and he's like, "Hey, well, are you still available?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, well, do you want to do the full season in GTD?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
all right.
He's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Okay." Like, anything else?
When's the ball gonna drop, and you're gonna ask
like-
me for all the money again?
Yeah, I was like, "Is there any like?" Okay, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I'll send you some paperwork," and I was like, he's like, "Can I like get my dad in this call or something?" Like, I don't know. Like, he's like, "Yeah." So like, he's like, "Yeah, well, you guys can do the full season if you want." My dad's like, "Well, like, what's that gonna cost?" And he's like, "No, like, we'll get you like on a program and we'll help you out, and like, we want you to drive for the season." And I was like, "Okay." So then, Ian's very like just to the point,
Right.
and he hung up, and I was just like, "That's really weird. Like, doesn't make sense." And then he sent the paperwork, and that was it. That was
it.
yeah. So like I said, those opportunities never really happen anymore, and I got so lucky to have like with our Mark Motors thing, a guy like Marco, and then to bring me to that level, and then a guy like Ian to bring me here. Like, it's just, you don't get a lot of people like that now in motorsports, so it's like I owe everything to Ian, honestly. Just as not only as a person, he's a great guy, but like I would not have. I honestly don't even know if I would have been racing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have one phone call, like where it was an honest.
A double
offer.
champion, not getting a phone call. Something
Not
wrong,
one.
right? Yeah.
Just like early December, and I was just like horrible feeling. I remember a month where I was just like, this is really like, it's just really shit. Like, there's no other way to put it. It just sucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely owe it to the man Ian.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Now obviously the Heart of Racing is kind of been in DNA a little bit with Alex and Mario, and helping young drivers to get where they need to go, right? So
given a lot of great opportunity.
So you had a season under your belt as a full season top driver in a top series. How do you think you've adapted? Where do you think you've come from that you walked into Daytona to try and drive that Audi to now? Because I mean, we've seen. I don't think it's been meteoric, because I think you were good in the beginning.
Thank you.
Right, it was just a matter of getting it all under control. But now it seems you're
Completely
really
out of control.
completely out of control. I mean, the interview,
all over.
The meetings just go crazy. Yeah. But observing who you're racing against now, and who you're being tasked to race with, you're not being shied away with going up against the best sports car drivers in GTD right now, and you're going toe to toe with them. How does that feel? What's your emotions when you're driving the car? Are you getting more in line where it's not overwhelming now and you're pushing forward, rather than just explain where you've come in that past year?
Yeah, I guess like Daytona, for instance, we had last 2 years ago, it was me, Alex, Ian, and Nikki. So obviously you have Nikki and Alex and Ian, who are all very fast. So getting into a team, and kind of I really just wanted to do well, and I was worried like maybe I lost my my knack to drive. I don't know, like you just think about everything. And that was a tough weekend. We didn't get much track time, and then obviously I was looking forward to Sebring, and then COVID hit. That was 6 months off.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, okay, I got this great deal and all the stars aligned, and now I'm not going to race ever again. Like, this sucks, whatever. And then we went back to Mid-Ohio, and for the test, and it didn't work out. The car, we had a massive issue. Then we went to Road America to race.
So we said never talk about Road America again.
Anyways, we didn't race. Move that aside. And then so it's like all this lead up. I'm like, oh my god, I just want to get comfortable and like see where I am, and I'm all like, am I gonna suck? Like, where am I gonna be? And then we went to VIR. Was VIR the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
And obviously, backtracking for people is Alex and you were going to be teaming up.
Oh yeah. So I literally almost forgot, because I was like, so this crazy.
Right. So Alex and you were down. Now Alex is in New Zealand, couldn't come out and race. So then Ian, we, dusted him off for a full season drive, and now you're the shoe.
Yeah.
Right. Before.
But that's the weird thing, is I didn't realize that I was going to be like. I remember in VIR, I'm like, oh, who's qualifying? He's like, oh, like Ian will qualify. Okay. but I never really raced. I watched the race, but I didn't really understand the rules or anything.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, well, you're gonna finish. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I'm like looking when everybody's doing the pit stops, and you see like people's names, and I'm like, this is bad. Like, I'm gonna get my ass
Once
kicked.
again, you mentioned Lally earlier,
Yeah.
right? Now you're up against
Yeah,
him.
it's like all these guys that, like I said, I was always an IMSA fan, so I'm watching all of them, like through their whole careers. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm screwed, right?
Gonna be exposed.
Yeah, I'm gonna get killed out here. So then to get through that race was like very, very like important for me, because I remember coming out of the pits, and it was, I think, Townsend behind me, and Lally in front of me, like quite a bit in front of me.
Yeah.
And I remember having a good fight with Townsend, and I held him off, and I ended up having a really good fight in the end with Lally, trying to get by him. And I think we finished 7th or 8th, which was good for us to finally get going. But
Right.
it was a massive confidence booster for me, because I was super worried that I was going to get out there and be absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Like that was my big thing. Like, I'm not going to be quick, and that was a good good weekend.
So now you feel like you're up on the wheel?
Yeah, I feel really good now. Like,
Yeah.
it's comfortable. I had some good runs last year for sure. Some good battles with a lot of the guys that I really looked up to. So that kind of helped me elevate my confidence a bit. I don't think I'm an overly confident person, but I definitely needed a bit of boost,
Right.
just to know that I was capable. And that's a huge thing, like knowing that, oh, you get in the car, like you can race these guys, and that's kind of where I am now. I know I can get in, and I know I can compete with all the guys that, you know, are up there and have all these factory and paid rides. I can at least be there. So just I'm young, so I just need to keep picking away and learning from guys like Ross and Darren and Ian, like just little things that experience has given them. So
Yeah. So obviously we want to win races and win championships
Yep.
with the heart of racing. So what's you're only, how old are you now?
I just turned 20.
Just happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
So when was that?
February 15th.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to send you a card.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Ian didn't either.
So where do you want to go? You know, obviously there's things to be achieved here.
Yeah.
What's your dreams and aspirations? I know you had dreams and aspirations when you were a kid to go to Formula
Yeah.
One and this and that, but you know, the world is your oyster to a degree. We
Yeah.
know it's very difficult to keep this train going. But what's your dreams in sports car racing?
My dream, honestly, was always like sports car racing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I've always said, I would love to race Daytona, 24 Hours Daytona, and then that happened. It's been 3 now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So that one's checked off, but I have like a big goal, and then I have like some side goals that are kind of like bucket list things. So I need to do Le Mans at some point. I have to do Le Mans. I'd love to win a big endurance race, or plenty of big endurance races. So like that list would be like Le Mans, Sebring, Daytona, Petit, like
Bathurst.
races like Bathurst, Spa. Like those races I really love, and I've always watched. So I'd love to be a part of those and have some success in them. And I'd say like the main goal is to hopefully have factory support at one point. So be a factory driver for, you know, maybe Aston or you know, somebody along the line.
Something
So
like that. We know a couple of people, so
yeah,
put a
you know
good word
couple.
in maybe.
Hopefully they'll put a good word in. I don't know.
And and you've done some races outside the US too, right? How's that
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah, it's been good. I did Bathurst with the Aston. I did Spa. I did a couple Super Cup races back in the day, and it's been cool. It's the level is a lot different, and not that it's, you know, better there or better here, but it's just different. I think the way they race is different. It's always been on a different tire when I go there, so learning that and learning the competition and different manufacturers is really cool. So I've enjoyed that a lot. Hope to do more of that.
Yeah. So obviously we joke when you're here, because you're always doing homework, because you're still in school, right?
Yeah.
And you're juggling doing school as your dad's mandated,
Yes.
rightfully so.
Yes.
You still got to do well at that.
Yep.
And I mean, switching that on and off has got to be difficult. As say, in between sessions, you're like doing projects.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, some day, like yesterday was honestly a really rough day when it came to, it was hard for me to keep focused for both of them. I got a bit unlucky just with the timing of these projects coming out, where it happened to be yesterday during the practices, but
It's like they don't plan their school schedule
I know,
around
it's a bit weird,
prominent
isn't it?
sports
Yeah.
car races.
I know, it's like the 12 Hours of Sebring.
Yeah.
Come on.
Dude,
Who doesn't know that?
No one puts on homework on that week.
No one should.
No.
But no, it's like, everybody. I have a lot of friends who are like, there's no way you can do that. Like, I'm in university for engineering. It's a hard degree, I think, and it's like a lot of work. It's what it's known for. But I don't know. Just I grew up always doing that. Like, I remember being in grade school doing some homework at the track, and then high school and stuff like that. So there's always a rule. Yeah. So just I don't know. It's not for me. It's not weird or not abnormal because it's just that's what I've been doing since I was 10 or 11.
The day you graduate and you're just driving race cars.
Honestly, yeah, it's just been part of life for me. So
yeah, it's a good idea to have that in your back pocket, no matter what. 100%. You can bring it to the track and it helps you.
Yeah, quite honestly. No, that's why I think I chose it, because I hope to be able to use that. Maybe my goal obviously is to race professionally and be paid to do what I love, because how can you not want to do that?
Right.
But to have the engineering to help me with the motorsport side and vice versa, I can always go home and hopefully have a job there where I can use what I've worked for a long time in school to do. So hopefully they both help each other out a bit.
All right, cool. Okay, we're going to wrap this up with the big question that everyone asks. Okay, life as a ginger. Do they actually rule the world?
Do gingers rule the world?
Yep.
Everybody knows that. That's right. Except Ross and Ian.
Yeah.
Everybody who makes ginger jokes doesn't know that.
Yeah, they don't get it.
They don't get it. I mean, it's like a cult, but a cool cult.
Yeah.
Not a bad one. I mean, we're just
the secret meetings.
Ginger is a dying breed. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It is. There's less and less gingers every year.
That's horrible.
So we're the last of the legends.
Maybe if you take a trip out to the infield in Sebring, you might be able to fix some of that.
I'll be okay. I'll stay.
Yeah.
I have the fence right here, so
we're not ready for that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I had enough experience as a child going through there on a golf cart, seeing some things that I definitely shouldn't have seen at that age. So I'll pass on that.
And you've heard many things in the briefing rooms too. So.
Yes, Ian.
All right, man. Well, I really appreciate this. I'm really impressed by your progression, and I'm really happy I've been kind of a part of it. So
me too.
Thank you. Let's rock on.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
All right, that's it for our interview with Roman. Stay tuned for our next one on the Parc Fermé.
It's not what I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
During the Jeep Wrap-Up the Year sales event, give yourself the gift of freedom with a wide selection of great offers on your favorite Jeep brand vehicles. Right now, get 15% below MSRP for an average of $8,258 under MSRP on the purchase of a 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4x4. Not compatible with any other consumer retail incentive offers. $8,258 average based on 15% below average MSRP from all 2023 Gladiator Sport 4x4 models in dealer stock. Residency restrictions apply. Take retail delivery from dealer stock by 1-2. Jeep is a registered trademark.